The war on planet Rigora had lasted for months. Smoke covered the sky like a thick gray blanket, and the ground was filled with broken metal, burned earth, and painful memories. Armies from many alien species had gathered here, all fighting the deadly enemy known as the Vorkar. But today was different. Today something unusual happened on the battlefield. A small human ship landed near the front line. Alien soldiers stood around it, whispering to each other. They expected human fighters, maybe heavy weapons or at least armored troops. Instead, the doors opened, and a single human medic stepped out. His name was Dr. Ethan Cole. He wore white and red armor that was more suited for emergency rooms than war zones. On his back he carried a large medical pack. His gloves glowed faint blue, showing he was using some kind of advanced scanner. The alien soldiers looked at each other and laughed. A soft, ugly laughter. "Humans sent a healer?" one of them said. "A doctor? In a war like this?" Another alien shook its head. "Humans are always scared. They hide behind machines and medicines. They cannot fight like real warriors," someone added. "Especially their medics. They are all cowards." Many soldiers agreed. In most alien cultures, medics stayed far behind the battle. They did not step into danger. They did not rush to the front. They waited for survivors to be brought to them. But Ethan did not stay behind. He walked straight toward the battlefield like he belonged there. An alien captain stepped forward to greet him. He was tall, dark green, with blue crystals growing on his armored shoulders. His voice was deep and sarcastic. "You are the human they sent?" the captain asked. Ethan nodded. "Yes. I'm the medic for this sector." The captain laughed loudly. "A medic? The Vorkar will eat you alive." Another soldier added. "He will cry the moment he sees blood." Ethan didn't respond. He simply checked his scanner, looked around the field, and then said in a calm voice, "Where are the wounded?" This question surprised them. No fear. No hesitation. Just work. Still, the aliens continued their insults. "He's confused. He thinks this is a hospital. Humans do not understand war." One soldier pointed at Ethan's armor. "Look at those bright colors. The enemy will see him first." Another grinned. "Maybe that is the plan. Use the human medic as bait." The soldiers laughed. But Ethan remained silent. He didn't look angry. He didn't even look offended. Instead, he closed the visor of his helmet and stepped toward the smoke-covered field. Behind him, one alien whispered to another, "He is crazy. Medics, stay back." The other replied, "It is the human way. Strange and weak." But they were wrong. Very wrong. As Ethan moved forward, the ground suddenly shook. A deep explosion blasted from the east side. More followed. The Vorkar were launching another attack. The alarms began to scream. "Enemy approaching. Everyone to defense positions." Alien soldiers ran to their stations, shouting orders. But Ethan kept walking calmly, moving faster than expected. His steps were steady, like he had walked through war zones many times before. One alien commander watched him and frowned. "Why is he not scared?" Another answered, "Because he is too stupid to understand danger." But this time, even the mocking voices did not sound confident. Something about Ethan's calm behavior felt strange, unnatural, almost wrong. Finally, the first wounded soldiers came running back. Some were burned. Some had deep cuts. Some were carried by others. Ethan reached them first, before even the alien medics. He dropped to his knees beside a soldier with a bleeding chest wound. Without hesitation, he placed his glowing hands on the injury. Something shocking happened. The bleeding stopped instantly. The wound closed like time rewinded. The soldier gasped and sat up, confused. The aliens watching froze. What was that? That was not normal healing. Ethan didn't answer. He moved to the next soldier. His gloves glowed brighter, golden light rising from his palms like soft fire. Bones reattached. Burned skin rebuilt itself. Pain disappeared. The alien soldiers stared in silence now, not laughter. This was not cowardice. This was not weakness. This was something else entirely. But the insults were not over. Not yet. The captain crossed his arms and said, "Interesting tricks, human. But tricks will not save you when the Vorkar reach this camp." Ethan finally looked at him. His eyes behind the visor were calm and sharp. "I didn't come here to save myself," he said softly. "I came to save all of you." Before the captain could reply, another massive explosion tore through the air. A terrifying roar rolled across the field, deep, unnatural, monstrous. The Vorkar were here. And everyone expected Ethan, the human medic, to run or hide. Instead, he stood up, grabbed his medical pack and whispered to himself, "Time to begin." No one knew what he meant, but they were about to learn. The battlefield was about to see the truth about human medics, and it would change everything. The Vorkar attack began like a black wave. Dark creatures moved through the smoke, their bodies shaped like twisted armor and living fire. Their mouths opened with sharp teeth, glowing with toxic light. Every step they took cracked the ground. Alien soldiers rushed to form defensive lines, shouting warnings and loading weapons. The air filled with fear and dust. But Ethan, the human medic, walked straight into the chaos. At first, the aliens thought he was running away. But then they realized he was moving toward the front line. A soldier yelled, "Human, stop. You will die." But Ethan didn't respond. He walked faster, weaving through blasts of energy fire as if he saw them before they came. An alien commander watched closely. "He is not moving randomly," the commander whispered. "He is dodging the attacks, perfectly." Ethan reached a fallen soldier, a Grawl warrior with thick armor split open by a Vorkar blade. Blood spilled onto the dirt. The warrior's breathing was weak, fading quickly. Two alien medics tried to stop Ethan. "Leave him," one said. "We have no time. The Vorkar are too close." But Ethan dropped beside the dying warrior. "I need 10 seconds, he said calmly. 10 seconds on this battlefield felt impossible. A Vorkar screamed and charged at them, its claws raised to strike. The alien medics ran back in fear. But Ethan did not move. He placed his hand on the warrior's chest. His gloves lit up, first blue then gold. A shockwave of light exploded from his palm. The Vorkar stopped, froze, as if invisible chains held it in the air. The aliens watching let out a cry of confusion. What did he do? "Is that healing energy?" Ethan whispered, "Stay still." The floating Vorkar fell to the ground, unconscious but alive. Ethan then focused on the wounded warrior. Golden energy flowed from his hands like warm sunlight. The wound knitted together. The armor bent back into place. The breathing steadied. The warrior opened his eyes, shocked. I was dying." "You're not dying anymore," Ethan said, standing up. His voice stayed calm, almost gentle. But the battlefield around him was not calm. More Vorkar charged in. Alien soldiers fired back, but panic spread through the ranks. They had never seen the enemy attack this fast. Ethan didn't retreat. He stepped into the open, raising his hand. A strange circular device on his wrist glowed bright yellow. "What is he doing now?" a soldier shouted. Ethan pressed a button. A pulse of golden light swept across the field. Everyone felt it. A soft hum, warm like sunlight. Pain in wounded bodies faded. Fear inside frightened soldiers weakened. Breathing became easier. For the first time, soldiers stood taller. Their hands stopped shaking. The alien captain gasped. "That is not medical gear. That is something else." But the Vorkar felt the opposite effect. They staggered. Their muscles twitched. Some fell to their knees as if the pulse drained their strength. Ethan lowered his hand slowly. His visor flickered, reading battlefield data faster than any normal human could. He whispered, "Their nervous systems are reacting." "Good." He scanned another wounded soldier nearby. The alien medic standing next to him stared at the scanner. "That thing, it is reading life energy?" Ethan nodded. "In simple terms, yes." "Humans can do that?" "Not all humans," Ethan said quietly. "Just a few." Before the alien medic could ask more, a roar shook the ground. A huge Vorkar beast, twice the size of the others, charged toward Ethan. Its claws sparked with poison energy. Soldiers screamed, "Human, move! Move!" But Ethan stood still. He reached into his medical pack. Pulled out a tool shaped like a thick metal syringe. "This looks dangerous," an alien whispered. "Is that a weapon?" "No," Ethan said. "It's treatment." The giant Vorkar leaped into the air. Ethan lifted his hand and threw the device. The device exploded in a blast of golden mist. The creature roared in pain, not physical pain but confusion. His body suddenly slowed. Its claws twitched. Its vision blurred. "It's paralyzed," the alien captain whispered. "By medicine?" Ethan nodded. "A dose strong enough to calm its entire nervous system." But the Vorkar army didn't stop. More were coming, running fast, glowing with rage. The defensive line began to break. Soldiers fell back. Some dropped their weapons. Fear spread like fire. Except near Ethan. Around him, soldiers stood straighter. Their wounds healed. Their courage grew. Their minds cleared. An alien officer finally said what they were all thinking. This human is not a normal medic. But Ethan didn't react to praise or fear. He just kept healing, moving faster than any medic they had ever seen. He didn't hide. He didn't panic. He didn't act like a coward. It was the first time the alien army began to question their own insults. If this was cowardice, then what did courage look like? As Ethan raised his hands and prepared another wave of golden light, the entire front line watched him with new eyes. In awe, in confusion, in silence, and somewhere deep in their hearts, in hope. Because for the first time in this war, a single human medic made the impossible feel possible. The battle raged for hours, and yet Ethan, the human medic, never slowed down. He moved through smoke and fire like a quiet shadow. He healed soldiers faster than the enemy could injure them. He stood firm even when monsters charged directly at him. Alien soldiers watched him closely now. Not with mockery. Not with doubt. But with something new. Respect. Still, no one understood how he worked. How a single human with no armor, no offensive weapons, and nothing but medical tools could stand against a full Vorkar assault. But Ethan understood. He had trained for years. He had studied wounds that broke the strongest warriors. He had survived disasters that should have killed him. And he had lived through battles where medics died first. This battlefield was nothing new to him. It was simply another place where lives needed saving. The first crack in his calm. But even medics have limits. Ethan stood over a collapsed soldier. A young Calarian scout, barely an adult by her species standards. Her chest was torn open. Her breathing was thin and fading. Ethan knelt beside her and swallowed hard. This wound was bad. Very bad. "Stay with me," he whispered, his hands moving fast. He injected stabilizers. He activated a healing field. He closed the wound millimeter by millimeter. But the energy pulse in his wristband flickered. His power was running low. For the first time since the battle began. Ethan looked worried. The alien captain saw his expression. "Human, you should fall back. You need rest." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. She can be saved." He pressed harder. Sweat dripped down his face. His hands shook from exhaustion, something he tried to hide. The young scout's eyes fluttered open. "I dying?" she whispered. "No," Ethan said. But even his voice sounded tired. "You're going to live. I promise." The wound sealed. Her breathing steadied. Ethan exhaled shakily. The command line, watching from a distance, whispered among themselves. He made a promise. And he kept it. He doesn't stop. Not even when he is breaking. A sudden shift in the battle. The Vorkar horde suddenly changed tactics. Instead of rushing straight forward, they began circling the battlefield. They were hunting. Searching for something. Searching for someone. The alien commander's eyes widened. "They are looking for him," he said, pointing at Ethan. And he was right. The Vorkar had realized something important. As long as Ethan stood, the aliens could not fall. Their wounds closed. Their morale rose. Their fear disappeared. The human medic was the beating heart of the battlefield. A priority target. The assassination attempt. Without warning, 3 Vorkar assassins broke through the lines. Their bodies were covered in dark spikes. Their claws dripped with poison. Their eyes glowed with hatred. They did not attack soldiers. They didn't even look at them. They ran straight toward Ethan. "Human. Behind you," a soldier screamed. Ethan turned too late. One assassin leaped into the air, claws raised, aiming for his throat. But something unexpected happened. A Grawl warrior, the one Ethan had saved earlier, threw himself in front of the medic. The Vorkar's claws sank into the Grawl's armor. Blood splattered the ground. The warrior roared in pain but did not step aside. He blocked the assassin completely. "You saved my life," he growled. "Now I save yours." Before the Vorkar could strike again, Ethan pulled the warrior down and activated a burst field. A dome of golden light erupted around them. The assassins slammed into it, shrieking as the light burned their skin. Ethan grabbed the Grawl's shoulders. "You idiot," he said softly. "You didn't need to take that hit for me." The Grawl smiled weakly. "You saved me first. That makes us equal." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't save you to earn favors." "I know," the Grawl whispered. "That is why I protect you." The assassins circled the dome like wolves. Waiting. Watching. Planning their next strike. Ethan placed a hand on the dome. He closed his eyes. The golden field grew brighter. And brighter. And brighter. Until it exploded outward. The assassins were thrown across the battlefield, landing in heaps of burning dust. Alien soldiers stared in shock. Their whispers spread like wildfire. That wasn't medicine. That wasn't science. That was something else. The battlefield starts to understand. One officer stepped close. "Human, what are you?" Ethan didn't answer. He simply walked forward again, scanning for the next injured soldier. He limped slightly now. His hands trembled. His face was pale. But he did not stop. He refused to stop. This was the moment the alien army realized something important. Humans weren't cowards. They weren't weak. They weren't helpless medics hiding from danger. They were the kind who walked into fire to save strangers. The kind who fought fear not with weapons but with determination. The kind who stood between life and death and refused to move. Some soldiers began to whisper among themselves. "He is stronger than a warrior. He has no armor, and yet he never hides. He heals us even when it hurts him." And slowly, very slowly, the insult coward began to fade from their minds. Because anyone who watched Ethan that day, anyone who saw how far he pushed himself, anyone who witnessed his courage, knew the truth. This human would break himself before he ever let another soldier die. The battlefield grew strangely quiet after the assassination attempt. Smoke still rose. Explosions still echoed in the distance. But everyone, humans, aliens, soldiers, kept glancing at one man, Ethan Cole, the human medic who refused to fall. He stood in the center of the chaos, breathing hard, hands trembling, uniform stained with dust and blood. But his eyes still held calm. A calm that made the alien soldiers uneasy. A calm that felt unnatural. A calm that felt powerful. The alien commander, a seasoned veteran named Karath, approached Ethan carefully. "Human," he said, "your strength is unusual." Ethan didn't look up. He was busy stitching a wound on a fallen warrior. "I'm a medic," he said quietly. "I just do my job." But Karath wasn't convinced. No medic he knew could create a shockwave strong enough to throw assassins across the battlefield. No medic he knew could heal dozens of soldiers without slowing down. No medic he knew could walk into enemy fire like nothing mattered. Something else was happening here. Something the aliens weren't told. Rumors spread like fire. The soldiers started whispering among themselves again. "He heals faster than machines. He fights without weapons. The light around him, it's not technology. It feels like energy. Maybe something inside him?" Even the wounded, barely conscious, stared at Ethan with wide eyes. One soldier asked quietly, "Human, are you some kind of warrior hidden in medic clothing?" Ethan didn't smile. He didn't explain. He only said, "I'm here to save lives. Nothing more." But those words did not calm anyone. If anything, they made the mystery deeper. Why would someone risk everything for strangers? Why endure such pain without hesitation? Why keep fighting when his own body was failing? To aliens, the idea was impossible. But humans were strange creatures. And Ethan was the strangest of all. The Vorkar changed strategy. The Vorkar were not stupid. They observed Ethan too. And they understood. As long as that human lived, the battle could not be won. The Vorkar war leader sent out a command. A high-pitched signal echoed across the battlefield. Every Vorkar soldier froze. Then slowly, turned toward Ethan. Hundreds of burning red eyes locked onto one man. Karath felt his heart drop. "They're going to swarm you," he whispered. "You need to retreat. Now." Ethan finally looked up. He saw the line of monsters forming. He saw their weapons glowing. He saw the danger. But he didn't move. "I can't leave," he said. "There are still wounded here." Karath grabbed his shoulder. "You will die." Ethan gently removed his hand. "And if I leave them, they will die too." Karath had no answer. He stared at Ethan. A thin, tired human with shaking hands, and finally understood what made him dangerous. His power wasn't in his body. It wasn't in weapons. It wasn't in armor. His power was in his resolve. Ethan reveals a fragment of his training. The first wave of Vorkar sprinted forward. Ethan stood tall. He raised his medical device, just a scanner, nothing dangerous. But when he activated it, the air shimmered. Golden lines spread across the ground like veins of light. Soldiers gasped. "What is that?" "A weapon. A barrier? Some human magic?" Ethan spoke for the first time with a colder tone. "It's called a neural field stabilizer. A medical tool. A medical tool." Yet the golden field expanded and slowed the charge of the enemy. Vorkar soldiers stumbled. Their bodies twitched. Their weapons dropped from their hands. The aliens stared in disbelief. Karath whispered, "That's not healing. That's disabling them." Ethan remained calm. "It's the same principle. If I can relax a damaged nerve, I can also disrupt an active one." He walked through the trembling enemy soldiers without fear. His field made them too weak to attack. Some collapsed. Some crawled away terrified. None could touch him. And the alien army watching finally understood. Humans didn't only heal. Humans studied pain. Humans studied nerves. Humans studied everything that kept a creature alive. Which meant, if needed, they could also turn that knowledge into a weapon. The Vorkar sent their champion. The Vorkar war leader grew angry. He sent out a roar that shook the ground. A massive creature emerged, armored like a beetle, taller than a tank, eyes burning with pure hatred. The battlefield fell silent. Karath whispered, "That is a Vorkar champion. No one had ever beaten one. Not even 5 warriors together." It stomped closer, crushing rocks under its weight. Shadows swallowed Ethan's smaller form. Ethan looked up slowly. He didn't panic. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He whispered one word. "Fine." He tapped his wrist. The golden glow expanded around him like a storm. The soldiers watching felt a chill run through their bones. Not of fear, but of awe. This was no ordinary medic. He was something else. Something the battlefield was seeing for the first time. Karath whispered what many were thinking. He is not a coward. He is not weak. He is not just a healer. He swallowed hard. He is a human, and that alone makes him dangerous. Ethan stepped forward. The champion roared. The battlefield braced for a clash none of them would ever forget. The Vorkar champion towered above Ethan like a mountain of armor and rage. Its footsteps made the earth shake. Its breath came out as hot steam. Its claws were long enough to tear through vehicles. The soldiers watching, both alien and human, felt their hearts freeze. No medic could stand against a champion. No single soldier could stand against a champion. But Ethan Cole did not move. He stood there, calm as quiet water. The first strike. The champion roared and swung its massive arm down, aiming to crush Ethan like an insect. Karath shouted, "Ethan, move." But Ethan didn't step aside. He touched the activation pad on his wrist. A golden shield burst out, thin as glass, glowing like a sunrise. The champion's claw smashed into the shield. Boom. Dust exploded everywhere. Waves of force blasted outward. When the air cleared, everyone stared in disbelief. Ethan was still standing. His shield flickered, cracked, but held. Even the champion paused in confusion. Ethan looked up slowly. "This shield wasn't made for fighting," he said softly. "It was made to protect injured people from falling buildings." He raised his eyes. "But I guess you count as a falling building too." A few alien soldiers almost laughed. Almost. Because Ethan still looked exhausted, sweaty, trembling. And the champion was far from finished. The champion reacts. The creature roared louder, angrier than before. It slammed both fists into the ground, trying to break the shield through shockwaves. The earth split. Rocks jumped. Dust filled the air. But the golden field pulsed and absorbed the impact like soft breath. "That's impossible," one alien whispered. "It's medical tech. Why is it working like this?" Ethan didn't answer. He was too focused. Under his breath he whispered something strange. Calm mind, steady hands, precise pressure. Words of training. Words every medic learned. Words he turned into power. The champion lunged forward, jaws wide, aiming to bite through the shield. Ethan moved for the first time. A small step. A doctor's step. Precise. Measured. The creature snapped down on empty air. The human counterattack. Ethan pressed a button on his tool. A thin beam of soft white light touched the champion's neck. A harmless healing beam. Harmless, unless used differently. The champion froze. Its muscles twitched. Its head jerked. Its legs stumbled. Karath gasped. "You're targeting its nerves." Ethan nodded once. "A nervous system is a pattern. If I can calm a damaged nerve, I can overload a normal one." He turned the dial on his tool a little more. The beam shifted. The champion roared again, this time in pain. Its muscles spasmed. Its legs shook. It dropped to one knee. The entire battlefield went silent. A single medic had just forced a monster to kneel. But even medics have limits. Ethan staggered. His breath grew weak. The golden field around him dimmed. He was reaching his limit. Everyone knew it. The champion knew it too. With a final burst of rage, it broke free from the nerve disruption and swung a massive arm again. Ethan tried to raise his shield. It flickered, cracked, shattered. The force slammed into him and threw him across the ground. "Ethan!" Dozens of voices shouted. He rolled, hit a rock and finally stopped. His body ached. His vision blurred. His tool sparked, it was almost broken. The champion stood tall again, roaring triumphantly. It began charging toward him. Karath grabbed a weapon. Protect him. But the alien soldiers hesitated. Not from cowardice. From awe. They had never seen anything like this human before. They were stunned. And the champion was getting closer. Ethan stands again. Ethan pushed his hand against the ground. His arms shook. His lungs burned. His legs felt like failing. But he stood. The champion was seconds from reaching him. Ethan raised his broken tool. Half the screen didn't work. The energy cell was failing. The stabilizer coil was cracked. But there was one mode still active. One mode medical personnel rarely touched. Biopulse emergency wave. A function meant to restart failing hearts. Or shut down overactive ones. Ethan whispered, "Sorry about this." He pointed the device at the champion's chest. The creature swung its claw down to kill him. Ethan pressed the button. A shockwave of white-blue energy exploded outward. The air trembled. The dust lifted. The champion's body locked in mid-motion. Its eyes widened. Its limbs froze. Its heart skipped. What? Then the giant fell forward and crashed into the ground with earth-shaking force. Silence. Not a breath. Not a whisper. Not a single sound. Ethan stood in the middle of the battlefield, shaking, exhausted, but victorious. A new title. Karath approached slowly, staring at Ethan with wide, stunned eyes. "Human," he whispered, voice trembling. You brought down a champion." Ethan exhaled weakly. "I didn't want to fight," he said softly. "I just wanted everyone to live." Karath lowered his head. "Then you are not simply a medic." He looked at Ethan with something close to reverence. "You are a protector." Around them, soldiers began to murmur the same word. Protector. Protector. The human protector. Ethan looked down at his broken tool. He didn't feel like a hero. He only felt tired. But the battlefield would never forget what they saw. The battlefield remained quiet long after the champion fell. Dust floated in the air like slow snow. The soldiers, Vorkar, the Lan, even the humans, stood frozen, unable to speak. No one had ever seen a medic do something like this. Ethan Cole stood at the center of it all. He was breathing hard, sweat dripping down his face. His legs trembled from exhaustion. His medical device sparked weakly, half destroyed. Yet he was still standing. Karath walked toward him slowly as if approaching something sacred. "You," the Vorkar warrior whispered. "You defeated a champion." Ethan wiped dust from his face. His voice was soft, almost embarrassed. "I didn't defeat him," he said. "I just stopped him from hurting people." But Karath shook his head. "No. You did more than that." He turned to the gathered soldiers. "This human, this medic, stood alone when the rest of us froze." The aliens murmured. Some bowed their heads. Some stared at Ethan like he was a myth stepping out of a story. But Ethan only looked confused. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired. So very tired. The questions begin. The first soldier to speak was a Lan scout. "How did you do that?" she asked quietly. "Medical tools do not fight. They heal." Ethan answered simply. "Yes, they heal. But healing is more powerful than you think." Another soldier stepped forward. "But why risk your life? You are a medic. Medics stay behind the lines. Medics avoid combat." Ethan shook his head. "No. Human medics don't avoid danger." His voice grew stronger, steadier. "Human medics run into danger. They go where others won't. They treat the wounded while bullets fly. They use their own bodies as shields if they must." The aliens looked at each other in disbelief. "That cannot be true," said a Vorkar soldier. "Why would anyone protect life with their own life?" Ethan sighed softly and looked at the sky. "Because that's the job. The training no alien knew about." Karath stepped closer. "Tell us," he said. "Tell us what makes a human medic different." Ethan hesitated. But he could see the fear in their eyes, not fear of him but fear of the unknown. Fear that they had judged humans wrongly. Fear that they misunderstood everything. So he spoke. "When a human becomes a medic, the first thing we learn isn't how to heal." The soldiers leaned in. "We learn how to stay calm when everything is falling apart." He held up his trembling hands. These hands learned to stop shaking while treating soldiers under fire. These eyes learned to stay focused while explosions broke the sky. These ears learned to work while people screamed for help. He looked at his broken tool. And every tool we use has a second purpose. Not to kill, but to protect. The aliens blinked, confused. Ethan continued. Human medical tech is made to survive the impossible. We need shields and burning buildings. We need nerve tools for soldiers in shock. We need pulse waves to restart broken hearts. He lowered his gaze. And when necessary, those same tools can stop a monster bigger than a house. The price humans pay. Karatha's voice was low. But it hurts you, doesn't it? Using that power. Ethan nodded slowly. Everything has a cost. He lifted his hand and winced at the pain. He felt lightheaded. His muscles ached. His nerves were numb. I pushed my device too far. And I pushed my body too far too. But why? A young alien asked. Why risk yourself for us? Ethan looked at the young soldier gently. Because pain is better than regret. The aliens fell silent. He continued. When you stand by and do nothing, that pain never goes away. He pointed toward the battlefield. But when I help, even if it hurts, even if it scares me, I know at least one thing. He paused. I didn't let someone die when I could have saved them. The battlefield responds. A Thalan commander stepped forward and saluted deeply. Human Ethan, she said, I misjudged your people. Another soldier bowed. I called humans weak. I was wrong. A third spoke. I thought medics were cowards. But you are the bravest among us. Ethan looked uncomfortable. You don't have to say all that. I just did my job. But the soldiers disagreed. Karath raised his voice. No. You changed everything today. He pointed to the fallen champion. You showed us that strength is not only in the arm, but in the heart. He placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. You protected us. Something flickered in Karatha's eyes. Respect, admiration, and something else. Gratitude. A new fear spreads. But while Ethan spoke to the soldiers, others watched from a distance. High-ranking alien officers, leaders, strategists, they whispered among themselves. If this is what a human medic can do, then what can a human soldier do? What can a human commander do? What are humans truly capable of? Fear mixed with awe. The galaxy had always underestimated humans. Today proved that was a mistake. A message arrives. Just when the tension reached its peak, Ethan's communicator beeped. A voice came through, frantic and urgent. Medic Cole. We have multiple injured at the North Ridge. Heavy casualties. And we're out of medics. Ethan straightened immediately. His fatigue vanished behind duty. I'm on my way. He turned to the soldiers. I need help carrying supplies. Karath nodded instantly. We will follow you. The entire battlefield seemed to breathe again. The fight with the champion was over. But Ethan's work was not. Human medics never rested. Human medics ran toward the next crisis. And so Ethan began running once more. His broken tool in one hand, his determination unshaken. Behind him, warriors from 3 species followed. Because now they understood. When humans protect, they protect with everything they have. The sun was setting over Rigora when Ethan and the soldiers reached the North Ridge. Smoke rose from the burned ground. Shattered vehicles lay in pieces. And injured soldiers cried out for help. This time no one doubted the human medic. No one laughed. No one whispered insults. They followed him like he was the only light left in a dark world. The final push to save lives. Ethan slid to his knees beside the first wounded soldier. He didn't ask questions. He didn't hesitate. He simply began. His broken medical tool flickered weakly. His glowing gloves shined only half as bright. But Ethan still used them as if nothing was wrong. He sealed a deep chest wound. He repaired a shattered arm. He revived a soldier who had stopped breathing. Every time he healed someone, he felt the exhaustion grow stronger. His legs shook. His vision blurred. His throat burned. Yet he kept going. Alien soldiers watched him in complete silence. No warrior among them, no matter how strong, could fight the battle Ethan fought now. A battle against time. Against death. Against the limits of his own body. Karath stepped forward to carry the wounded Ethan stabilized. Thalan scouts created a safety circle, guarding him from surprise attacks. Even Vorkar soldiers, once his enemies, stood beside him now. For the first time in this war, every species worked together. Because one human medic had shown them how. The enemy tries one last time. Just when the wounded were nearly all treated, a sharp scream echoed from the valley. Another Vorkar attack force appeared. The last squad still alive. Their leader pointed at Ethan. That is the one who defeated our champion. Kill him and victory is ours. Ethan couldn't even stand. His strength was gone. His face was pale. But he still pushed himself in front of the injured. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have energy. All he had was a broken medical device and his courage. Karath roared, stepping between Ethan and the Vorkar. You will not touch him. The battlefield shook with new power. The Lan snipers took positions. Vorkar defectors raised their shields. Alien soldiers formed a wall around Ethan. The Vorkar attackers charged. But they never reached him. In seconds, the united forces of 3 species pushed them back, fighting harder than before. They remembered the medic who stood alone against a champion. They remembered the man who healed their dying. They remembered the strength that came from kindness. And they protected him with everything they had. When the smoke cleared, the last Vorkar lay defeated. The war at the North Ridge was over. A strange silence. The soldiers gathered around Ethan. They looked at him differently now, not as a human, not as a medic, but as something greater. Karath kneeled beside him. You saved lives, even when yours was slipping away. Ethan gave a small tired smile. It's what medics do. You are a warrior of the heart, Karath said. A fighter without rage. A hero without pride. Ethan chuckled weakly. I'm just doing my job. But the soldiers shook their heads. No, said a Lan commander. You created a legend today. The new law of the Alliance. News spread faster than wildfire. By nightfall, every camp knew the story. The human medic who stood alone. The healer who defeated a champion. The man who turned enemies into allies. Soon, the leaders of all allied species met together. They declared a new rule on the battlefield. No medic of any species shall fight alone again. It was called the Cole Protocol, named after Ethan. Human medics across the galaxy heard the news and smiled proudly. Alien medics listened too. And for the first time, they walked toward danger instead of away from it. The moment that changed everything. Later, when Ethan finally rested inside the recovery tent, Karath visited him one last time. You changed us, Karath said. Not by killing enemies, but by saving friends. Ethan nodded softly. Victory is not only winning battles, he said. It's saving what you can. Karath placed a hand on his shoulder. Your people are stronger than we ever understood. Ethan looked at him, exhausted but hopeful. Human medics aren't cowards, he whispered. Karath answered with a low rumble of respect. No. Human medics are the bravest warriors of all. A legend on the battlefield. When Ethan finally fell asleep, soldiers from many species kept silent watch around his tent. The Lan scouts perched on rocks. Vorkar warriors stood tall with shields. Human soldiers guarded with rifles ready. They guarded him as he had guarded them. In the dark, someone whispered, Remember this day. This was the day the galaxy learned the truth. Another answered, Yes. Humans fight with strange weapons. A third voice finished the thought. But their strongest weapon is their heart. The story lives on. Years later, new soldiers would come to Rigora. They would hear stories whispered by veterans. Did you ever hear about the human medic? The one who stopped a champion? The one who healed an entire army? The one who showed us what courage really means? And the young soldiers would ask, Was he real? And the veterans would smile. Oh yes, he was real. And because of him, we are all alive today. The legend of Ethan Cole, the human medic, spread across the stars. Not as a soldier, not as a killer, but as the medic who changed a war and taught a galaxy the meaning of bravery.